ते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते 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 वासुदेवाय।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे वासुदेवाय। हरे राम
ओम नमो
राम हरे
भगवते
हरे।
वासुदेवाय।
Okay, so let me share my screen quickly now. This is final. All right. So Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada. स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणललितां तां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् श्रीगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्तांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Called the most confidential knowledge. And let's see. So in the last chapter, chapter 8, we discussed. So the chapter is started with Krishna answering to Arjuna's question that the previous verse Krishna described how one can achieve him. So Krishna now is describing here, remembering the art of remembering Krishna at the time of death, remembering Krishna through meditation, and then pure devotional service, remembering Krishna through bhakti. And then Krishna compares material and spiritual world glories of the supreme abode. That's where the chapter 8 ended. Krishna says, "Come to my abode," right? Now, in this chapter 9, which is 34 slokas, this chapter 9 is called Most Confidential Knowledge, right? What was the title? Do you remember? The Most Confidential Knowledge. So Krishna in the first three sloka going to describe hearing qualification and disqualification. How we can hear. Because without hearing we cannot learn anything, right? So then Krishna is going to describe qualification and disqualification of hearing. From sloka number 4 to sloka 10, Krishna will describe Aishwarya Gyan, Krishna's relationship with material world. So how does this world is related to Krishna? Krishna is going to describe. Then from 11th to 25, Krishna is going to describe that fools neglect bhakti. The people who are mudhas, they neglect bhakti. But the divine don't. And from 26 to 34, Krishna will describe glories of devotional service to Krishna. What are the glories? So this is very powerful chapter. So the first sloka begins with Sri Bhagavan Vacha. You can read after me.
श्री भगवान वाच।
इदं तु ते गुह्यमतम्
इदं तु ते इदं
प्रवक्ष्याम्यन्यसूयते ज्ञानविज्ञानसहितं
ज्ञान विज्ञान सहितं
यज्ञत्वा मोच्यते शुभात्।
Jnana.
Meaning, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization. Knowing this, okay, you can mute it if you're not speaking. I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence." So we'll go and read this sloka from the book directly. Let's go to the read the purport from Srila Prabhupada. All right, chapter 9. And we'll take help from slides also. So as we go on reading. Purport and translation by His Divine Grace, Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As a devotee hear more and more about Krishna, Supreme Lord, he becomes enlightened. This hearing process is recommended Srimad Bhagavatam. Quote, the message of the Supreme Personality Godhead are full of potencies, and these potencies can be realized if the topics regarding the Supreme Godhead are discussed among devotees. This cannot be achieved by association of mental speculators. The devotee is constantly engaged in the Supreme Lord's service. The Lords understand the mentality and sincerity of particular living entity who is engaged in the Krishna consciousness and gives him the intelligence to understand signs of Krishna in the association of devotee. Discussion of Krishna is very potent, and if a fortunate person has an association and tries to assimilate the knowledge, then he will surely make advancement towards the spiritual realization. Lord Krishna, in order to encourage Arjuna to higher and higher elevation in his potent service, describes in this 9th chapter matter more confidential than any he has already disclosed. The very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, is more or less an introduction to the rest of the book. And the second and third chapter, the spiritual knowledge described, is called confidential. The topic discussed in 7th and 8th chapter are specifically related to devotional service, and because they bring enlightenment in the Krishna consciousness, they are called more confidential. But the matters which are described in 9th chapter deal with unalloyed pure devotion. Therefore, this is called the most confidential. So you see, confidential, more confidential, and most confidential. So the chapter 2 and 3 was confidential. Chapter 7 and 8 was more confidential. And this chapter 9 is called most confidential. Highly classified, right? Highly classified knowledge now. Here, most confidential Krishna is giving. One who is situated in the most confidential knowledge of Krishna is naturally transcendental. He therefore has no material pang, although he is in the material world. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said, although one who has a sincere desire to render loving service to Supreme Lord is situated in the conditional state of material existence, he is to be considered liberated. Similarly, we said, find in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, that anyone who is engaged in this, that way, the way is a liberate, the way. Anyone who is engaged in that way is a liberated person. Now, this first verse has a specific significance. The word idam jnanam, this knowledge refers to pure devotional service, which consists of 9 activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, service, worshipping, praying, obeying, maintaining friendship, and surrendering everything. By the practice of these 9 elements of devotional service, one is elevated to spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. When one's heart is thus cleared of material contamination, one can understand the signs of Krishna. Simply to understand that a living entity is not material is not sufficient. That may be the beginning of spiritual realization, but one should recognize the difference between the activities of the body and the spiritual activities of one who understands that he is not the body. In the 7th chapter, we have already discussed the opulent potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, its different energies and inferior and superior nature. Are all envious of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the most erudite scholar write on Bhagavad Gita very inaccurately. Because they are envious of Krishna, their commentaries are useless. The commentaries given by devotees of the Lord are bona fide, and no one can explain Bhagavad Gita or give perfect knowledge of Krishna if he is envious. One who is criticized the character of Krishna without knowing him is a fool. So such commentators should be very carefully avoided. For one who understands that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the pure transcendental personality, this chapter will be very beneficial. Hare Krishna. Oh, so you are not looking at the screen, you are just listening. Oh, man. So tell me, how do I know?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, but you have the books, you can read it, right? Like, well, you could follow it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cannot open the book today because too many things happening here.
Okay. Okay, so you could hear. All right. Madhu
So
is
I
here.
can
Madhu.
just hear.
Madhu is also here. Okay. Hare Krishna, Madhu. Can't hear you. But nevertheless, I read the whole thing without sharing. But no problem. So the thing is, Krishna is this ninth chapter is very powerful because it is most confidential knowledge. And Prabhupada is explaining how so far how much we have read from chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we are in ninth chapter. And this knowledge is very confidential, and Prabhupada is describing that the people who are envious of Krishna cannot understand Bhagavad Gita, and neither they can describe Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, to understand Bhagavad Gita, one has to become devotee of Krishna. Otherwise, it is just a hard labor of love. There is no outcome. It's just labor, right? So we go to next chapter, sloka number 2. Let's read this one. Who wants to read this? No one want to read? Okay.
Kamini Mataji.
No problem. I think Sarvesh Prabhu is joining. So
Yes,
Sarvesh
Prabhuji.
Prabhu is here. Haribol.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु प्रणाम
Pranam. So you can read Prabhuji. We are waiting for you. You can read chapter. This second is.
9.2
Yes. You are muted, Prabhu. You unmute yourself. अनम्यूट कर दीजिए अपने आप को. आवाज नहीं आ रहा आपका.
राजविद्या
हाँ.
राजगुह्यं पवित्रं वेदमुत्तमं प्रत्यक्षावगं धर्म्यं सुसुखं कर्तुम् अव्ययम्. Translation: This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. Purport: This chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called the king of education because it is the essence of all doctrines and philosophies explained before. Among the principal philosophers in India are Gautama, Kannada, Kapila, Yagyavalkya, Sandilya, and Vaishwanara. And finally, there is Vyasadeva, the author of Vedanta Sutra. So there is no dearth of knowledge in the field of philosophy or transcendental knowledge. Now, the Lord says that this ninth chapter is the king of all such knowledge, the essence of all knowledge that can be derived from Vedic, from the study of the Vedas and different kinds of philosophy. It is the most confidential because confidential or transcendental knowledge involves understanding the difference between the soul and the body. And the king of all, confidential knowledge culminates in devotional service. Generally, people are not educated in this confidential knowledge, they are educated in external knowledge. As far as ordinary education is concerned, people are involved with so many departments: politics, sociology, physics, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, engineering, etc. There are so many departments of knowledge all over the world. and many huge universities, but there is unfortunately no university or educational institution where the science of spirit is instructed. Yet the soul is the most important part of the body. Without the presence of the soul, the body has no value. Still, people are placing great stress on the bodily necessities of life, not caring for the soul. The Bhagavad Gita, especially from the second chapter, on stresses the importance of the soul. In the very beginning, the Lord says that this body is perishable and the soul is not perishable. Antavanta imadehe nitya shoktah sharirna. That is a confidential part of knowledge. Simply knowing that the spirit soul is different from this body and its nature is immutable, indestructible, and eternal, but that gives no positive information about the soul. Sometimes people are under the impression that the soul is different from the body and that when the body is finished or one is liberated from the body, the soul remains in a void and becomes impersonal. But actually, that is not the fact. How can the soul, which is so active within this body, be inactive after being liberated from the body? It is always active. If it is eternal, then it is eternally active, and its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential part of spiritual knowledge. These activities of the spirit soul are therefore indicated here as constituting the king of all knowledge, the most confidential part of all knowledge. This knowledge is the purest from of all activities as explained in the Vedic literature. In the Padma Purana, man's sinful activities have been analyzed and are shown to be the result of sin after sin. Those who are engaged in creative activities are entangled in different stages and forms of sinful reactions. For instance, when the seed of a particular tree is sown, the tree doesn't appear immediately to grow. It takes some time. It is first a small sprouting plant, then it assumes the form of a tree, then it flowers and bears fruits, and when it is complete, the flowers and fruits are enjoyed by persons who have sown this seed of the tree. Similarly, a man performs a simple act, and like a seed, it takes time to fructify. There are different stages. The sinful action may have already stopped within the individuals, but the result of or the fruit of that sinful action are still to be enjoyed. There are sins which are still in the form of seed, and there are others which are already fructified and are giving us fruit, which are enjoying as distress and pain. As explained in the 28th verse of the 7th chapter, a person who has completely ended the reactions of all sinful activities and who is fully engaged in pious. Hare Krishna Guruji.
हरे कृष्णा हाँ बोलिए
Should I continue?
Yeah, if you have, you can. Otherwise, somebody else can read.
No, I can. A person who has completely ended the reactions of all sinful activities and who is fully engaged in pious activities, being freed from the duality of this material world, becomes engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In other words, those who are actually engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord are already freed from all reactions. This statement is confirmed in the Padma Purana. Aprarabdha phalam papam kotam bijam phalonmukham karmaneva praliyate Vishnu bhakti artatmanam. For those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all sinful reactions, whether fructified in the stalk or in the form of seed, gradually vanish. Therefore, the purifying potency of devotional service is very strong, and it is called Pavitram Uttamam, the purest. Uttama means transcendental. Tamasa means this material world or darkness. And Uttama means that which is transcendental to material activity. Devotional activities are never to be considered material, although sometimes it appears that devotees are engage just like ordinary men. One who can see and is familiar with devotional service will know that they are not material activities. They are all spiritual and devotional, uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. It is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can perceive the results directly. This direct result is actually perceived, and we have practical experience that any person who is chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. In course of chanting without offenses, feels some transcendental pleasure and very quickly becomes purified of all material contamination. This is actually seen furthermore if one engages not only in hearing but in trying to broadcast the message of devotional activities as well, or if he engages himself in helping the missionary activities of Krishna consciousness, he gradually feels spiritual progress. This advancement in spiritual life doesn't depend on any kind of previous education or qualification. The method itself is so pure that by simply engaging in it, one becomes pure. In the Vedanta Sutra 3 to 26, this is also described in the following words. Prakashah cha karmani abhyasat. Devotional service is so potent that simply by engaging in the activities of devotional service, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. A practical example of this can be seen in the previous life of Narada, who in that life happened to be the son of a maidservant. He had no education nor was he born into a high family. But when his mother was engaged in serving great devotees, Narada also became engaged, and sometimes in the absence of his mother, he would serve the great devotees himself. Narada personally says, उच्चिष्टा लेपन अनुमोदितो द्विजः सकृत सम भुंजे तद अपास्त किलबिषा एवं प्रवृत्तस्य विशुद्ध चेतसा तद्धर्म एवात्म रुचि प्रजायते. In this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.25, Narada described his previous life to his disciple Vyasadeva. He said that while engaged in as a boy servant for those purified devotees, during the 4 months of their stay, he was intimately associated with them. Sometimes those sages left remnants of food on their dishes, and the boy who would wash their dishes wanted to taste the remnants. So he asked great devotees for their permission, and when they gave it, Narada ate those remnants and consequently become free from all sinful reaction. As he went on eating, he gradually became as pure hearted as the sages. The great devotees relished the taste of unceasing devotional service to the Lord by hearing and chanting, and Narada gradually developed the same taste. Narada said further, तत्रान्व अहम कृष्ण कथा प्रज्ञातम अनुगृहण श्रवणम मनोहर तद श्रद्धया मेनु पदम विसृणुता प्रियश्रवस्य अंग मम अम्ब मम भवाद रुचि. By associating with the sages, Narada got the taste of hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and he developed a great desire for devotional service. Therefore, as described in the Vedanta Sutra, Prakashascha Karmani Abhyasat, if one is engaged simply in the acts of devotional service, everything is revealed to him automatically and he can understand. This is called Prataksha, directly perceived. The word Dharmya means the path of religion. Narada was actually a son of maid servant. He had no opportunity to go to school. He was simply assisting his mother, and fortunately, his mother rendered some service to the devotees. The child Narada also got the opportunity and simply by association achieved the highest goal of our religion. The highest goal of our religion is devotional service as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Savai punsah paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokshje. Religious people generally do not know that the highest perfection of religion is the attainment of devotional service. As we have already discussed in regard to the last verse of chapter 8, Vedeshu Yaggeshu Tapsuhu Chaiva. Generally, Vedic knowledge is required for realization. But here, although Narada never went to the school of the spiritual master and was not educated in the Vedic principle, he acquired the highest result of Vedic study. This process is so potent that even without performing the religious processes regularly, one can be raised to the highest perfection. How is this possible? This is also confirmed in Vedic literature. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. One who is in association with great Acharya, even if he is not educated or has never studied the Veda, can become familiar with all knowledge necessary for realization. The process of devotional service is very happy. The process devotional service is a very happy one, while devotional service consists of Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, so one can simply hear the chanting of the glory of the Lord or can attend philosophical lectures on transcendental knowledge given by authorized Acharya. Simply by sitting, one can learn, then one can eat the remnants of the food offered to God. Nice palatable dishes in every state devotional service is joyful. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition. The Lord says, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. He is ready to accept from the devotees any kind of offering, never mind what. When even a leaf, a flower, a bit of fruit, a little water, which are available in every part of the world, can be offered by any person regardless of social position and will be accepted if offered with love. There are many instances in history simply by tasting the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. Great sages like Sanat Kumara became great devotees. Therefore, the devotional process is very nice and it can be executed in happy mood. God accepts only the love with which things are offered to Him. It is said here that devotional service is eternally existing. It is not as the Mayavadi philosophers claim, although they sometimes take to so-called devotional service. Their idea is that as long as they are not liberated, they will continue their devotional service, but at the end, when they become liberated, they will become one with God. Such temporary time serving devotional service is not accepted as pure devotional service. Actually, devotional service continues even after liberation. When the devotee goes on the spiritual planet in the kingdom of God, is also engaged there in serving the Supreme Lord. He doesn't try to become one with the Supreme Lord. As will be seen in Bhagavad Gita, actual devotional service begins after liberation. After one is liberated, when one is situated in the Brahman position, Brahma Bhuta, one's devotional service begins. Samaha Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labte Param. No one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by executing Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Stanga Yoga, or any other yoga independently. By this yogic method, one may make a little progress toward Bhakti Yoga, but without coming to the stage of devotional service, one cannot understand what is the personality of Godhead. In this Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also confirmed that when one becomes purified by executing the process of devotional service, especially by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita from realized souls, then he can understand the service of Krishna or the science of God. Evam prasanna manso bhagavad bhakti yogta. When one's heart is cleared of all nonsense, then one can understand what God is. Thus, the process of devotional service of Krishna consciousness is the king of all education and the king of all confidential knowledge. It is the purest form of religion and it can be executed joyfully without difficulty. Therefore, one should
Right.
adopt it. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So what everyone understood, it was a long reading. This sloka is a very, very powerful sloka. Krishna is saying, Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratichavagamam Dharmam Suskham Kartumapyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secret. It is the purest knowledge. And because it gives direct perception of self-realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Right? So just like Prabhu sir just read, this chapter, as I said, most confidential knowledge. And Krishna is describing here Rajavidya, king of knowledge. If you ask in the world, what is the king of knowledge? This is chapter 9. Rajaguhyam is the most secret. Pavitram is the purest. Uttamam, transcendental. Pratyaksha, direct perception. Susukham, joyfully performed. Avyayam, never get lost. So, in the Hindu scriptures, there are so many type of knowledge, right? They have Samhita, like four Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sham Veda, Tharved. Then you have Vedangas, Siksha, Vyakarana, Kalpastru, Jyotisa, Nikruta, Chanda. Then you have Dharma Shastra, Manu, Yagnavalkya, Aptastambha. Then you have 18 Puranas, Brahmanda, Padma, Vishnu, Vayu, Bhagavat, Narada, Markandeya, Agni, Bhaivaj, Brahmavatra, Linga, Varaha, Skanda, Bhamana, Kurma, Tasya, Garuna, Brahmanda, and Shiva. Then I have Upanishad, Vridranayaka, Aitriya, Taitriya, Kathaka, Kena, Mundaka, Mandukya, Chandogaya, Prashanga, Ishavasya, Kaustiki, Svetastvara, Maitirani. And then you have Itihas, Ramayana and Mahabharata. And in Mahabharata, the Gita is there. Angama, Pancharatra, Saiva, Sakya, Upavedas, Darshanas. All these literature essence is this chapter 9. In Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 chapters. But this chapter 9 is essence of everything. All the knowledge you should know. That's what Krishna is saying. Why? Because it culminates in bhakti, the devotional service. So, Prabhupada explaining that just like you, when you sow a seed, so it takes time to become a tree and then have flower and fruits. It takes time, right? So, when we do our activities, sinful or pious, it takes time to get fructified, right? It takes time to get fruits. So when we engage in devotional service, not only the fruits of this sinful life is destroyed, but the seed, the tree, the whole root, and the seed itself of committing sinful activities is destroyed, the burned, almost burned. When you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, this chanting of Mahamantra destroys this root and seed and fruits and tree and leaves and branches of sinful life. Everything. So that you don't commit. But when we come in bhakti, we still have some problems in life. But because we have done it already, seeds are fructifying. So we get some sinful act, the results of its pain and pleasure, whatever we have done. But when you come to the platform of bhakti, you are doing a karma. You are not doing any kind of karma. You are neither pious nor sinful. You are transcendental. You are working for Krishna, not for yourself. So this bhakti is performed using 9 process. Association, just like we all of us are on Zoom. This is association. If you really take in that way, it is association. We meet together. Then we are reading book Bhagavad Gita, second. It should be nice. We have a nice food of prasadam after class, right? But we are trying to do first 3, association, book reading, and chanting, and dancing. Yeah, kirtan. So this is 9 process. And who can do this? Non-envious, Anushuya, who have faith in Krishna and freedom from material existence, Mochate Subhat. The people who are envious of Krishna, they are disqualified to understand this chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita. They are envious, Asuya, Asraddhavan, they are faithless. And they fall in the cycle of birth and death. Mrityu sansar nivartante. So, that's it. That's sloka number 3. Krishna is going to describe about qualification and disqualification of doing or understanding this chapter. Okay, let's read this. Who wants to read? Madhu, you want to read, Prabhuji?
हाँ प्रभु जी.
Okay,
हरे
go
कृष्ण.
ahead. Hare Krishna.
अर्षदध्यानाः पुरुषा धर्मस्यास्य परं तपा अप्राप्य मां निवर्तन्ते मृत्य समुरा वर्तमानी. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and the death in this maternal world. Purport: the faithlessness cannot accomplish this process of devotional service. That is the purport of this versa. Faith is created by association with devotee. Unfortunate people, even after hearing all the evidence of Vedic literature from great personalities, still have no faith in God. They are hesitate and cannot stay fixed in devotional service of the Lord. Thus, faith is a most important factor for progress in Krishna consciousness. In this Chaitanya, uh, Kari, Kari, Karitamrata it is said that faith is the complete conviction that simply by serving the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, one can achieve all perfection that is called real faith. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 4.31.14.
I'll read this for you. Yatha
Yes, please.
taror
Thank you.
mool nisachanena. You can repeat after me. Yatha taror mool nisachanena.
Yatarar Mola Sri Nisachanena
Trapyanti tat saknad bhajopakaksha.
Tratyanti Tap Skanda Bhachu Pasanta
Pranopachara cha yathendriyanam.
Pranopachara Yatendriyanam
तथैव सर्वाहरम अच्युतेय
Tathaiva Sarvadharmanam Achyutyadeya. By giving water to the root of tree, one satisfies its branches, twigs, and leaves. And by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all the senses of the body. Similarly, by engaging in the transactional service of the Supreme Lord, one automatically satisfies all the uh, demigods. Similarly, by engaging the transnational service of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Lord is one automatically satisfy all the demigods and all other living entities. Therefore, after reading Bhagavad Gita, one should so promptly come to the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. One should give up all other engagements and adopts the service of the Supreme Lord Krishna, personality of Godhead. If one is convinced of this philosophy of life, that is faith. Now, the development of that faith is the process of Krishna consciousness. There are three deviations of Krishna conscious men. In the third are those who have no faith, even if they are officially engaged in devotional service. They cannot achieve their highest perfectional stage. Most probably they will slip after some time. They may become engaged, but because they haven't complete conviction and faith, it is very difficult for them to continue in the Krishna consciousness. We have practical experience in the discharging of our missionary activity, that some people came and apply themselves to Krishna consciousness with some hidden motive, and as soon as they are economically a little well situated, they give up on this process and take to their old ways again. It is only by faith that one can advance in Krishna consciousness. As far as the development of faith is concerned, one who well versed in the literature of devotional service and his faith and has attained the stage of
Okay.
firm faith is called first class person in Krishna consciousness. And in the second class, there are those who are not very advanced in the understanding the devotional scriptures, but who automatically have firm faith that Krishna bhakti or service to Krishna is the best course, and so in God faith have taken up. Thus, they are superior to the third class, who have neither perfect knowledge of the scriptures nor God faith, but they associated in the simplicity or trying to follow. The third class person, Krishna consciousness may fall down, but when one is in the second class, he does not fall down. And for the first class person in Krishna consciousness, there is no change of falling down. One in faith, first class, will surely make progress and achieve the result at the end. As far as the third class person, Krishna consciousness concerned, although he has the faith in the conviction that devotional service to Krishna is very good, he has not yet gained adequate knowledge of Krishna through the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes these third class person in Krishna consciousness have some tendency towards karma yoga and jnana yoga, but and sometimes they are disturbed, but as soon as the infection of karma yoga and jnana yoga is vanquished vanquished, they become second class or first class person in the Krishna consciousness. Faith in Krishna is also divided into three stages in the described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. First class attachment, second class attachment, and third class attachment are also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam in in the 11th canto. Those who have no faith, who have faith even after hearing the Krishna and the excellence of devotional service, who think it's is a simply theology, and find the faith, find the path very difficult. Even if they are simply engaged in the devotional service for them, there is very little hope. There is very little hope of gaining perfection. Thus, faith is very faith. Thus, faith is very important in the discharge of the God serviceness, devotional serviceness.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So this Krishna is describing classification of people who don't come to Krishna because they don't have faith. Asraddhavan. So Prabhupada is describing there are three classes of people who have faith. First class, second class, third class. The third class, one who know about Krishna, but they come with some motive. And as soon as the motive is fulfilled, they fall down. The second class, who has come to Krishna with some faith, but they are not completely faithful. They are still having jnana and karma yoga interest, So they are not in pure bhakti, but they are still trying to learn it. Second class, so they may not fall down, but the progress to the first class is difficult. And the first class is one who believe there is nothing beyond Krishna for him. And everything, just like you water the root of a tree, you are sure that the branches, the trees, the stem, the leaf, the fruit, the flower, everybody will get water. So the first class person knows that if I serve Krishna, I will be able to satisfy everyone, including all the demigods. Brahma, Shiva, Matarani, so many people, 34 crores, 33 crores devatas, right? So that is called faith. The first class faith is to know that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. All right. So I think we will stop here because we had a large amount of reading today. So I think we'll stop here. Any questions, comments from today? Hare Krishna.